loves, and welcome to my channel, Dragons and Damsels. Here we will be discussing a multitude of things, from myths and legends to occult concepts and makeup. We are going to talk about a relationship topic today, and something that I've noticed in a lot of people who have issues in a relationship or have trouble getting into a relationship. We're going to speak about the warrior versus the badass, and why people mistake the two and end up dating a narcissist. As always, a disclaimer for these. I am by no means a relationship expert, nor my therapist. These are just my opinions that are based off of my own personal experiences about what I've seen and what I've heard from other people. So I have found that a lot of qualities that people find attractive in a partner are these divine masculine qualities of a warrior. Now, just keep in mind that when I say divine masculine, I'm not talking about men. It doesn't have to do with just men in general. It just means masculine energy. Every person that is alive is made up of masculine and feminine energy. Some have more than one, some have less. Some of these qualities of being a badass, and a lot of the first qualities that you see when you first meet someone and find them attractive, is that they say yes first and then figure out how to deliver on a problem. They usually think differently and problem solve differently than others. They speak their mind and speak up without fear of repercussion. They have a replicable skill that others can learn. They usually have some type of code. They have the audacity, and I quote, audacity, to do things that others only wish they could do. And they have tenacity. Now, these in themselves I found from an article of what do we modern people define as a badass. And these often mask some really bad and toxic traits in a partner, because we actually work for a subset of these traits, which are warrior traits, which are some of these at their very core. For instance, I'll talk about the speaking up aspect. Now, in terms of a badass, when we think of a badass, they speak their mind no matter what. They don't care about other people's feelings. They just speak for them selfishly. Now, to me, that's a toxic trait because you should be conscious of the people around you and their feelings. A warrior is always conscious about the feelings of those around them because they are always looking for how to avoid a fight. True warriors do not want combat. They wish to avoid it. Oftentimes, I find that a lot of the people who have these warrior tendencies learned it from someone else. They usually didn't pick it up on their own. A lot of people who are left to their own devices will pick up what they think are warrior traits or are these badass traits and don't see the toxicity in not completely fulfilling this aspect. In ancient times, when we talk about a warrior, they were much different than they are now. They had a mentor. For instance, you could not be a knight unless you had squired to somebody first. They had a very strict code, and generally they would come of age at a much earlier rate. Now, obviously, this may have changed because of history and how it moves, but both men and women had a coming of age, archetypical subset of skills that would eventually happen. But today, we kind of still have that for women at 16 with sweet 16s, or if you are of other cultures, things like a quinceañera. But most of our masculine cultures, we drop that. Normally, a male would go into a apprenticeship, or they would go into a trade, or they would become an apprentice knight, or they'd become a squire. They'd have a mentor who had this skill and who had this mindset, and thus would teach on that code. I think this is one of the reasons why women always say, or just people in general, that chivalry is dead. Because the code that we're talking about doesn't really exist anymore. Now, those mostly have a lot of feminine energy, usually look for partners with these traits. And due to modern age technology, these qualities can be very hard to find and could hide something very, very dark. My partner said it to me best. A person with a true warrior mindset stays calm until calm is no longer an option. Usually they try to de-escalate before fighting. However, the badass views these as submissive and weak. He prefers to call the badass a bully, because badasses can sometimes have a good connotation in today's society, but have a reputation for not truly standing behind those who are weaker, like a warrior would. Now, I'm still trying to problem solve a solution as to how those who may be struggling with their partners or searching for a partner can see the traits of a warrior and work on them before they're in the issues of being with a badass. But it's really hard because I think early on communication and building a relationship is kind of lacking these days. I do think that we need to make mentorships and apprenticeships a logical thing again, so we can start some healthy traits to handling the toxic divine masculine. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. I'm curious. Remember guys, keep it as nice. I will not tolerate bullying of any kind. Keep it friendly. Now with that said, I love you all and have a wonderful awakening.